Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Check. What up, world? It's the man with the plan, Burt McGurk, a.k.a. PR, the King of Hearts, and you are now tuned into Clocking Out, the podcast you listen to when you need to get motivated and inspired to doing bigger and better things. What is going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Clocking Out. I'm the man with the plan here, Burt McGurk, a.k.a. PR, the King of Hearts, and today we are here with another special guest speaker. Tristan, please introduce yourself and tell the listeners, followers, and viewers a little bit about yourself and who you are and where you're from.
I am Tristan Tillette. My wife and I, we currently now live in the Austin, Texas area. We just moved here recently, about maybe a month or so ago from Kansas City area. We were there for a year. Up until then, we were in Birmingham, Alabama for a long time. I'm a coach. She's a coach. Our youngest kids graduated from high school maybe a year and a half or so ago. So that's why there's been a little bit of moving where her goal was to get into college coaching. As you and I kind of talked before, she's not a 9-to-5 type person. I'm definitely not a 9-to-5 type person. We've been passionate about coaching, helping people, and that's kind of what makes us tick. So here we are.
I love that, man. And before we got on, you said it, and you even said it right now, that you and your wife don't have a 9-to-5. You guys can't do that. So, like, for the people who are meeting you and getting to know about you and your wife for the first time, what is it that people can get off right off the bat from meeting you guys? What's the first thing that you would say is like really noticeable and just like straight in people's face 100%, but like that would let them know that you're not a typical person that would stick to the 9-to-5 and that you have something else that you know that would bother you? Because it's even hearing that, and I could tell just by the way you said it that you have like other plans. Like you are not getting stuck in this whole thing of the repetitive loop that everyone's in of staying stuck at a job and doing the same thing over and over every day. And that really inspired the hell out of me. Like I really want to know what gives you that like energy to say it with such like pride and force. Like I don't have a 9-to-5. Like I love that.
Yeah, thank you. We've just kind of, I guess, always been that way. I think a lot of that is just I've been a coach. I'm dating myself. I'll be 50 in like a month. I've been coaching for 28 years. My dad was a coach before I was born, so like he didn't have a 9-to-5. My mother was a teacher. That's not a 9-to-5. You know, that's a passion, that's a calling. That's kind of what I've gravitated toward in all of my professional life as well. And then same thing with my wife as well. You know, so it's not, we definitely have hours where we clock in. We don't really clock out as per the title of your show. You know, that's the bad news of being a coach is kind of you're always on call. You know, you always have either situations to deal with, players are on your mind, maybe something happened during a session or during a practice or during a game or a relationship with a player or a parent. You're just always kind of in your own head. But the rewards that you get, you know, from that and from being able to mold people and mold kind of their journey and their lives, I mean, honestly, is phenomenal. So that's it.
And you've been coaching everyone from 4 years old to the pros. Like, what made you stick with this for 25 plus years?
I mean, that would be like asking a fish, why do they swim and not get out of the water? I mean, like I've done some other things, still in the coaching realm, you know, from like maybe a general fitness side to where it's still hands-on in coaching and training. I know that my passion is working with youth athletes. Again, just having a way where whether they're as young as 4 up to 16, 17, I kind of know that's my sweet spot, particularly in that age range of maybe 9 to like 11 or 12, where they're kind of at that teenage kind of tipping point of, do I really want to be kind of committed and kind of pursue this, or am I just kind of putting my toe in the water, so to speak? I just really enjoy being able to impact that age and showing them that, hey, I believe in you. We believe in you. You need to maybe get yourself to believe in you a little bit more. And just know that literally you are capable of being whatever you want to be. I mean, that's something I tell every player we work with, where the sport that I coach for the last 9 years is futsal. I live in the U.S. Futsal is not an authentic maybe sport here. It's usually used as a tool to make soccer players better soccer players. The actual sport of futsal is professional in Spain, in Italy, in Portugal, in Brazil, in Argentina, in Colombia, et cetera, et cetera. We've actually had 4 players from the longest tenured program that we started 9 years ago in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll have 3 from Birmingham that have had professional opportunity. We'll have 1 from Kansas, where she's going to go to Portugal in two or 3 weeks and get an opportunity as well. So just having that opportunity again to take a player at 9, 10, 11 and say, if you want to be the best player in the world, literally you can do that. And the only person that can tell you yes or no is you. I can't tell you yes or no. Your mom can't tell you yes or no. A coach has no right to tell you yes or no. It's literally whatever you feel in your head is going to be the truth.
And I love that. I love that you're instilling that into young children. I feel like if you get children to start believing in themselves and they start having that repetitively in their minds, I feel like they become really unstoppable. I believe that if you really teach children that they're capable of doing so many things, especially when they're young, and especially through sports, because I believe that sports takes a lot of discipline, showing up to go to do training for practice, whatever it is. And at the same time, you have a leader, you have someone, a more adult person, a more experienced person that's older you, teaching and leading by example, and that shows them things of respect also. So there's a lot of things in that process of coaching and teaching that actually instills a lot of good things in the children. And it's hard because a lot of days, I mean, nowadays, it's really hard to find people that are willing to put in that time and effort to teach other children, and it's not just you go there and you follow and you just check off the names on the roster and you follow the artillery or whatever it is that they give you as a teacher and tell you, listen, this is what you have to go over today. There's a lot of things emotionally that you have to go through because you're dealing with kids. They're growing, they're developing, they're learning, they're evolving. So all of that comes with a lot of responsibility. So to be a person that's taking that on and that's doing it and who actually enjoys it, that's a big thing.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's something where not only is that a big thing, like for us, for myself, my wife who works with us, the rest of the team, but getting buy-in from the players and getting buy-in in a sense of like release and relinquishment, I would say, like from the parents, where they have to trust us to know enough to know that like we have their son or daughter's best interests at heart, especially when they probably heard from other coaches a lot of the same things that we're saying that maybe haven't been followed through on in those situations. And I got my VeeFriends shirt on here. So for listeners and viewers, if you know what that is, or for yourself, if you know what that is, my character in the current card release that Gary Vee and them just released in May is the authentic anaconda, for good and for bad. I'm 100% authentic, where like we tell the parents, hey, this is the way it's going to be, and it's going to be that way. A lot of times, they might have heard that something like that in the past from maybe other leaders or coaches, and that didn't happen. We always try to do our best and make sure that we follow through on that for the players.
So being that you mentioned that, I actually wanted to ask you that leading into the VeeFriends, what did your journey as a coach, or how did your journey as a coach lead you into the world of VeeFriends?
So we started our longest tenured youth sports program, Birmingham Futsal in Birmingham, Alabama, about 8.5 years ago. I found him, he found me via, again, he's the #1 social media marketing guru, the god of that in the world. I just got back from Chicago a couple of weeks ago. I went to the National Sports Card Trade Show and had a chance to meet and engage with him. And I'd met him a couple of times before, but we had a lot of time to connect, like hours to connect over several days. And I said, I just want you to know, like, I'm one of the favorite ones you talk about. I'm one of the ones that, like, you came across my Facebook feed 52 times, and I'm like, nope, looks like a sleazy salesman. Nope, 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 nope. And then one day I clicked, and it was game over.
Yes.
It was, and I told him, like, the piece of content, it was Daily V. This is 9 years ago. Daily V 101. It was a mashup from one of his fans from Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal. Actually, our daughter now lives in Lisbon, Portugal. So kind of full circle moment. And it was 11 minutes of just like him and what he was saying and what he was preaching. And like literally that day I got out of bed. I went and told my wife, I'm like, hey, what I've been doing for a living stops today. This is what I'm doing starting tomorrow. And she's like, I'm like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to work. So like what we've done since May 7th, when they dropped like they've had collectibles and different cards and different, figures and things like that. But May 7th was kind of the big drop when they partnered with Topps, the noted trading card company. And they dropped Topps Chrome. It's 100 characters. We've never really been into collecting her cards. I haven't collected anything in 40 years. The joke with her and others is on May 6th, according to my wife, cards were for nerds. On May 7th, it's like, hey, are we gonna rip again? Are we gonna rip? Are we gonna rip? So this has given us something, where we both believe in Gary. I found him earlier. I believe in him. Like if he says the sky is red, I'm like, well, shit, it looks blue, but I guess it's red. I mean, I'm that much committed to his teachings, his philosophy. I know it works. That's how we run all of our programs, from a marketing side, from a branding side. And then as VeeFriends dropped, we bought cards. We kept some that we would want to use. We sold some to try to make our money back. And then I start looking at the characters and I'm like, Selfless Sloth, Creative Crab, Decisive Duck, Fearless Fairy. We have 10 or 12. And I'm like, I wonder if kids would like this. And that was on May the 9th. On May 20th, we were living in Kansas then. I flew to Birmingham and I was like, I don't know, we'll see. And we had a small training group and 6 kids. I gave 3 of them cards. It's not just here you go, but like you have to like earn it. If you're the best teammate of the day, or you do something that's kind of outside of the norm for you or the group, and you're a really good teammate, you get the Selfless Sloth, which that's being more selfless than selfish. And if you can convince a 5 or 6-year-old to like think of someone other than themselves, that can be like a groundbreaking, kind of moment for them for sure. And after that day, I called my wife and I was like, we're going to need more cards. Because like the kids that got it, it was like Christmas morning. The ones that didn't, like they were not very happy. And I said, hey, the good news is if you got a card today, you got a card today. The bad news is we know you can do that. So now you need to do that every day. And most importantly, if you got this card today, can you get that card tomorrow? Can you start rounding out your personality? I said, the flip side of that is if you didn't get a card today, the bad news is you didn't get a card. The good news is tomorrow, if you come in and you try to do better in this or this or this, you'll get a card. If you do the same, you'll probably won't get a card. And that's the way life works.
I love that you mentioned that because in all honesty, I feel like I thought I was the only one that had that experience with Gary. I speak as if I know him personally, and I think a lot of us do that to an extent because of the fact that we've consumed so much of his content for so long that we feel like we know him personally because we've been on that journey with him as he's been building and creating. But then at the same time, it's a lot of the things that he said hit home, and we feel to an extent, a lot of us, like we owe him something, because he got us to see or notice something that we didn't notice that was literally right smack dead in front of our face. And it's like we feel like, I can't believe I didn't see that before, but thank you. But I literally had that same first initial reaction like you did when I first saw Gary. I was like, this guy's trying to sell me something. Like, I don't care. Like, I would keep scrolling by. But the thing that was weird is I would only see his content, or his content would only come up really late at night when I was up contemplating about my life, about what I'm doing and where I'm going and my decisions, and it would always just pop up. And I'm like, yo, this guy keeps showing. And I would get so annoyed that it would keep coming up. And then one day I was like, yo, let me just see what the hell this is about, because it's not ever going to go away. And it was the one saying, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
3 words.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that right there, because I've said that to myself so many times, but I've never thought of saying it to someone. I've never thought of having that conversation with anyone, because I thought I was crazy for saying that to myself. I would get so stressed out that I'd be like, you're stressing over something so stupid and you're gonna die. Like, at the end of all this, the only thing that's 100% clear that you know for a fact without a reasonable doubt, it may not be today, tomorrow, it doesn't matter how many years you have, but 100% you're going to die. And once he said that, I started listening, because that was the first thing that I know in my head. I was like, I have to be stupid to be thinking that so much. And then I found some random guy who I was avoiding saying the same thing. And I was like, all right, let me listen. So then I went from one video to the next. And then I got so invested into everything he was saying, because I felt like he was one of those friends that was literally he wasn't sugarcoating anything, and he knew that I was trying to be around the bush with stuff, and he found a way to cut out all the excuses, and he didn't even know me. You get what I'm saying? So that was a big thing. So you saying that, I completely understand where you're coming from. As a person who found VeeFriends in that way, and it wasn't something where someone put you onto it in the sense where they were trying to convince you to buy something or anything like that. You found it in a different type of way. what would you say if someone was to ask you how you felt about VeeFriends or Gary V in general? What would you say flat out to someone who doesn't even know who Gary is, or maybe they assume and they look at him the same way we did at first, like he's a snake oil salesman, or he's trying to like get something? Like, what would you say to someone who would ask you about it, or VeeFriends, the brand itself?
I mean, I would, I guess, question not necessarily them, but I guess like, why are you questioning? I mean, a lot of times people question that in which they don't know. You know, no different than like when you or I first saw his content. It's like we had doubt just because we're older. We've seen this. It's like it's almost like it's too good to be true. Like this person really can't be this way until you actually realize that like no, like he really is that way, and this really is that way, which again is no different than the way that we've tried to coach and lead. So it's like almost like a double standard. It's like I couldn't hold this person to a different standard when I was asking our players and our parents to hold us to the same standard. It's like, hey, like just understand that we have your best interests at heart. Trust that we have your best interests at heart, but yet I'm going to do something different because again, my character is the authentic anaconda. So I kind of got to be true to the game and to the situation. And a couple of folks that I talked with when I was up in Chicago, Justin Stevens, he actually stayed with me. He was coming from Hawaii and had crazy travel delays, and it was awful. So I was like, hey, like we literally never met each other. I'm like, hey, we can get a roll away in the room, and like you're good because the hotel canceled his reservation. It was crazy. And we were talking because he has a very similar story, and it was, a lot of people say that like you're kind of following a cult. He's like, well, one person's cult is another person's community, which is very powerful and very true. It's not like I wouldn't say that like, he's the Lord and Savior per se, but I haven't really found a lot of what he says to be incorrect. I would say that if you kind of take everything he says and then you can evaluate it, which is no different than the kind of way he presents it. He's like, hey, I'm going to say all these things, but ultimately it's up to you to hear it, want to do it. Don't just get motivated and leave. Like you ultimately have to put the work in and execute whatever it is. Like I'm pretty good on X. I'm pretty good on Instagram. I'm decent on Facebook. I'm awful on TikTok. I'm awful on Snapchat. I'm getting better at LinkedIn. Like, and it's all of the same things that like, that's why I'll get on different things. And even when I met him, he's like, hey, do you have any questions? I'm like, I'm not going to ask because I know the answers you're going to give me. Like I'm not going to waste your time with it, where I know this is what I'm doing decently well. These are things that I need to do better at. And then just go from there.
I hear you, man. And I feel the same way too. I feel very grateful for not only what I've learned from this space, but the people I've been able to meet because of this community. And it's been a very insightful journey, I guess you could say, with VeeFriends. I thought it would be something that I would learn more about other things, and I learned more about myself throughout this whole thing of learning about VeeFriends, learning about Web3, and all these different things just from the conversations that I've been having, such as conversations like this, meeting people in person in the real live events. All of that, it's just gotten me to a point to feel comfortable around other people that I feel understand me to some degree, where I feel if I say something, I don't have to overthink it because they'll understand where I'm coming from and they'll know that it's a good place, so I won't be judged. And I think that that's something a lot of us struggle with, is just being judged with a lot of stuff. So I think like VeeFriends gives us that thing where it's like it's okay not to know what you're doing. It's okay to feel lost, but at the same time, it empowers you to know, like, all right, you think that you're not good at this, or you think that you don't know what you're doing, or you think you're lost, or you think, and it gives you a lot of empowering traits, a lot of things to basically motivate yourself and give yourself the confidence to move forward, not just in the cards, in the designs and what they stand for, but the people that back it, the people that support it, the people that promote it, the people in the community, the people who are actually in the company itself. Like, I just think it's all around amazing. So the fact that you were able to implement something like that has such a positive message, along with something that I feel is also positive with teaching and coaching, I think that's a great combination and something amazing. And then you come off as a very amazing person yourself too. So to have all of that is like a powerhouse, And it's something that we don't see very often. Like it's like I said, it's very hard, especially when it comes to people giving their time to other people's children. It's hard to find nowadays. A lot of people don't want to be responsible for other people's children. You get what I'm saying? Or especially with the way things are now, sometimes it might not be safe. You don't know what type of example people are leaving. So the fact that there's people such as yourself that is doing it with good intentions and who actually is doing it because you care. You're not looking for the paycheck. It's not just, oh, I'm just going to go to work, show up, say, do this, do that, and then that's it. I'm calling it a day. You're going a step beyond, and you're tag teaming with your wife also and doing all these things and the content that you make and all the things that you do with the kids. So, like, what is it that you believe kids really need from coaching today beyond sports, being that you found a way to implement VeeFriends into what you're doing?
I mean, so what we've done with the IP and specifically like the Topps Chrome cards, by the end of this month, we would have given out, I would say used as rewards, because giving out seems like we're just like throwing them and kids have to do nothing to earn them. We would have dispensed, for lack of a better term, probably over 1,500 cards to maybe one kid's gotten 37, maybe one kid got one, maybe one kid got two. We've given out over 300 Fearless Fairies. Where every female athlete that we work with, again, we have a daughter, wife coaches females, daughter works in our program, she coaches as well, so passionate about every single female athlete getting one of those. And they always get really excited about like the shiny part on the front, but we make every athlete turn and look on the back. Where on the back of that card, it's got the competitive advantage about basically this is why you earn that. And then it's got like a little quote at the bottom that talks about whatever the skill, whatever the trait is. So in terms of using 1,500 of those, my number one takeaway is, again, with every player, older sometimes get it better than youngers, but a lot of times it's not even like a chronological age thing. It's more of like kind of an emotional age. Is like self-awareness is the most powerful tool that I think any human can have. And the sooner that we can get youth athletes to understand that, the better. Where they understand what they're really good at, and I want them to lean into that. They understand what they're not so good at, and don't like shy away from that, but embrace that and be like, hey, maybe I'm not so good at this right now, but I can get a little bit better each day to at least become maybe competent at that, and that will raise my overall game. Or it's something like, if you're not good with your hands, then you just don't ever need to be a goalie. You may never need to be good with your hands. It's one of those things. But understand, like, hey, this is what I'm really good at. This is what I'm not so good at. And then putting yourself in a position to embrace that. And ultimately, you're going to set yourself up, I think, for happiness when you do that.
I like that you found a way to be creative and fun with finding a way to have the kids that you coach walk away with a core lesson from everything. It's not just, okay, you did a good job, here's a reward. It's okay, here's a reward, but this is something that it's gonna help. It's gonna be like a moment. It's a moment that they're gonna remember, because not only are they being rewarded for what they did, but they're also learning in the process of something that they can use as valuable. So I think that's a great way to go about it. And it's me. I would be ecstatic if I was getting it, from regular cards, grade cards, like whatever it is, just to know that I'm getting something like that. Like, I would go crazy. My thing when I was younger was always like Pokemon cards or X-Men cards and things like that. So like now that they're doing it with this, and like the VeeFriends cards are very designed and detailed and very colorful and everything. So that's dope. So I could just imagine how excited they get. And then to also know it's like also like a badge of honor to show that they did something to earn that specific card or trait that's going to be with them, so it's like they have a moment with you also, and they're learning in the process. That's a very great thing, man. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. The stories have been like absolutely crazy. I mean, I'll start with kind of some of the parents first. Like it had been, so I was there from May 20th to June 21st on the court, 31 straight days, to make sure that our summer staff was kind of, had their feet under them, kind of understood this is the rhythm of the schedule. Because our winters and summers, it's literally 8.5 hours of coaching, like nonstop. And like when I say nonstop, I mean like 3:30 to 5:30, 5:30 to 6:45, 6:45 to 8:15, like literally nonstop. Like it's bookended, boom, 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 boom. And within that, we need to have a flow. And we were going to insert this reward system into it. So we've got to have the system down where, like, hey, if the session's ending at 5:30, we've got to end at 5:24. Talk to them for 2 minutes. We give the cards out. We get a quick picture, and then we're on to the next one. So the parents kind of grabbed me one day, because we have some players that have been in the program for, again, 5 or 6 years, where it's a part of their family and a part of their day-to-day life. And they were like, hey, like, so this with the cards, like, we're going to keep doing this, right? And I was like, as long as we have cards, we'll keep doing it. And they're like, no, like, we need to keep doing this. Like, around our house, like, that's all they talk about. The conversation at the dinner table is, today I got this card, brother got that card, tomorrow I want to get this, and I know that I need to be more positive and a better teammate in order to do that. For me to be the adaptable alien, I can't just play this position. I've got to play other positions. And for the kids, I mean, we have a core group of maybe like 11 to 12-year-old boys. And they might not always be the most positive young men ever. They can kind of be a little jerkish to each other sometimes. And some of them, it's like, I've never heard a handful of them have one outwardly positive thing to say to any teammate. And it's like, hey, really good pass. Keep working. You can do it. Keep working hard. It's like, where did you come from? Like, what in the hell is going on right now? And it's, I've joked with the parents. I'm like, if I knew this is all it took, I would have just gotten cardboard boxes and doodled on them like 4 and 5 years ago, if it would have changed the behavior like this.
Definitely.
Like, I mean, I told each Monday when I was there, we have a new group at camp, and I kind of, would tee it up like, hey, here's the deal, moms and dads. You're going to see some smiles. You're going to see some frowns. We're going to give out some rewards. You've gotten the information via email, but you're going to see it in person. Hopefully your son or daughter gets a card today, but guess what? If they don't get one, it doesn't mean we don't like them. That just means they need to do a better job at something tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and hopefully they can get one by the end of the week, blah, 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 blah. So we kind of tee all that up, and the parents like fully bought in. And again, to see the kids and players buy in was phenomenal. I mean, it's like nothing I've ever seen, where I told them, like, I've been coaching a long time. I've been around coaching my whole life, like before I was born. And I've never seen anything make the behavioral impact. Like, sure, we can tell a player they need to use their right or left foot or right or left hand more. That's a technical thing. Situational aspect in the game is different, but like actual, like, impacting a 10-year-old boy's behavior, and they change it like that, I've never seen anything more powerful than this, ever.
See, and everything that you're saying, like, you're literally sharing everything. You covered everything from certain misconceptions people might have about how busy you are and what it takes to organize and get these things set up, to how you're balancing your teaching with the confidence with the students. Like, if they don't get a card, or if one gets more than the other, like, you found a way to make sure that, like I said, it's always like a learning thing, but they're going through firsthand experiences, which is good, because a lot of the times when it comes to teachers or coaches and students and just children in general, it's a lot of just saying what not to do. But still, like, we were all kids. Everyone's going to say, don't do this, but it doesn't really process in our head until we go and do it and we hurt ourselves, or we learn from the firsthand experience. So it's like you're doing that, but you're doing it in a way where it's purposeful. It's they're doing it with other people. They're communicating as far as what they're experiencing, how they're feeling. And you even said it, like, you didn't expect certain children to go from not being as positive or outgoing to what they're doing now and being motivational and supportive to other teammates. So, like, with all of that, how is it that you, or like, because everything is like so far good, and I'm pretty sure that somewhere along the line you get some bad. Have you ever had a moment where you felt like quitting and just leaving all this and saying, you know what, I don't want to do this, or I can't, whether it was something that you couldn't handle or something that you didn't like was going on? Because I know there's a lot of situations where you could get very attached to certain kids, as far as, because you care about them a lot. You spend a lot of time with them. You see them every year and everything like that. And then there's sometimes where there'll be parents that they're not comfortable with having their children go and follow certain rules. Like, if it's not about, if you're coaching baseball, they just want you to coach baseball. And then they'll get mad, because it's like, I'm a parent as well. They'll get mad if you're trying to instill other things into their children. And then that could lead to, bumping heads. Have you ever had a situation like that where you don't get along with parents, or you can't seem to agree on the way on how to teach or coach or anything like that, that's led you to be like, you know what, I can't find a middle ground. Maybe this isn't for me.
How long's the show? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think that's a part of obviously coaching. And I became a better coach when I had kids, which was a long time ago. Our oldest is 22. Our youngest boy girl twins are 19. You know, when you have your first child, literally your life changes. Like pre-baby, this day, next day, your life is completely different forever. You know, hopefully for the better. You know, depending on your responsibilities and the relationship and all of the things that kind of happen in life, like maybe for the worse, but again, like that's kind of your choice. So just understanding that, and again, I was raised by a coach who was pretty strict. Like we had some standards, we had some, you know, I don't like the term rules because that seems restrictive, but we had rules, we had standards. Like I kind of knew what was acceptable and what wasn't. That was the way that we kind of raised our kids. The programs and the coaching that we kind of deliver are like that as well. You know, there's no way for us to really, we might have a young player before us for 2 hours a day. The other 22 hours are out of our control. So if they've been told that they never do anything wrong and, oh, they're the best thing ever, like there's not a whole lot we can do, but like just understand that like when you come here, we're not saying that you're doing this wrong or we don't like you or we don't love you. It's a matter of like, if we really didn't like you, we probably wouldn't coach you because it's just easier that way. You know, we wouldn't waste our time or our energy or our oxygen. And this is what I tell kids, like in front of parents, like, you know, I'm authentic. Some parents enjoy it. Some do not. Those usually don't last very long. And in some of our parent meetings, you know, that there would be maybe some newer groups that would like start to ask questions, and our more veteran families would be like, no, like you don't ask that here. You know, that's not how we operate. You know, so we were very lucky in terms of the program in Birmingham, where again, it's been there 8.5 years. I mean, it's not the exact same group for 8.5 years, but there's a core understanding of kind of the core group of the players and the families and the parents and the dynamics and like what the standard and the structure is. So if you're there for an extended period of time, you kind of know what's expected. And if you don't know what's expected, generally, you know, it's not like we're trying to get rid of you or run you off, but it's maybe just not the best fit for those, you know, players or families. And again, it's not that we don't like them. It's our coaching is pretty direct. A lot of times I think today's kids, I can say, hey, good job, good job, good job, good job. Hey, instead of doing this, do that. And the only thing they hear is the negative. They didn't hear the 11 positive things. So they take, you know, critique as like criticism and like a personal attack against them versus like, hey, understand, we're just trying to make you better. You know, you can take it, you can leave it, but like we're coaching you the same way that we coach our kids, because literally our kids were in the program too. So.
And so have you in the whole process of you doing this and you adding the VeeFriends IP and seeing the change in other kids, I'm sure that the parents have been talking about it amongst other parents as well. Have you seen throughout the whole process of you doing this other coaches utilizing the same thing or something similar to what they're doing? Or have you had any conversations with other coaches that they ask you, hey, what are you doing? You're crazy. This isn't a good thing to do, or you can't mix this with that? Or have you ever come across any situations like that or had any conversations with other fellow coaches?
We have. We just launched. It's on IG and X, like VeeFriends Coaches, where it's not affiliated with VeeFriends. It's more for coaches who are using kind of similar or would like to use, you know, similar philosophy. Maybe part of the rewards are just they like Gary, they like VeeFriends, they like the IP, and their coaches. Kind of how can we leverage and lean into this and do it better? Where I've got a handful of folks that have kind of reached out. And the conversation, you know, is again, I told Gary when I met him that the worst thing, like for me and others, and even my wife laughs, she's like, the worst thing for others is like, when you met him, like you realize that like he was like you and you were like him. I'm like, yeah, like literally until I clicked that damn button on Daily V 101, I thought I was crazy. I thought I was like the craziest person in the world, and there was nobody that thought like this. And I hit play, and it was, at least there's two of us. You know, at least there's two of us. So talking to coaches, kind of the number one, I guess, hurdle is just more of like kind of an excuse-ish type situation where, well, it might work, but, or, well, it can't be that simple. No different than the first time you see any of his content. It's like, you don't think he's actually being authentic until you hear him say, like he says all the time, like, what do you want me to do? Like, say something different? Like, I'm going to say what's true. I'm going to say what's authentic. So the conversation with the coaches is, we have a few that are interested in onboarding, which I've created a program where coaches can get involved. I mean, we've got, much to my wife's chagrin, she's very OCD and organized. We've got over 7,000 VeeFriends Chrome base cards in the characters that we use. All organized and alphabetized, like in the characters that we use, where we've got them set up where we can keep giving them. If coaches would like to come on board, like, we're supplying them with cards.
Nice.
We're giving them recommendations of like, hey, we're using 12 characters. I wouldn't start like that. I would maybe use like 4 or 5 and kind of go from there. That way, kind of what the reward is. Some get it. Some are a little more, I guess, just skeptical of like, but like, how do I do it? It's like, what do you mean? How do you do it? Like, you see a kid being creative, you give them the creative crab. Like, it's literally that simple, And until you actually like see it and like you see a kid's reaction, you almost don't think it's going to go as well as it is. Like, we have a group of 3 brothers, which the impact in 2 of them is amazing. One of them, pre-card, not very motivated, probably didn't ever want to be there. Mom, dad probably made him do it. This was like his form of like social release, physical activity, and those kind of things, which is fine. But I made it kind of evident to him. I'm like, hey, like, if this is how it's going to be, man, like, mom and I are going to have a conversation. You're probably just not going to be here, not because I don't like you, but because it's not fair to the group and the team, because you're kind of dragging them down. And that's not, what a good teammate and a good person does. After getting a few cards, like, I've videoed some of this player and sent it to a friend of ours who he's the assistant coach for the U.S. men's and U.S. women's national futsal team. He's spent 42 days in Birmingham over the last 2 years, like, working with our players, like that level of coach, that level of coaching, the highest level. And he was like, oh my God, like, who is that? And I told him the player's name. He's like, no way. I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, no way. Like, you're a miracle worker. I'm like, it's not me. It's the freaking cards, man. Like, it's literally the cards, where, I mean, that's something where until you see it, like, seeing is kind of believing. And we had the other 2 brothers, the oldest brother, we play a little dribble game in camp called Knockout, where you're trying to dribble. You've got to control your ball, knock the other player's ball out to get them just more aware. Are they using both feet? We gave the Notorious Ninja card. So, like, the regular card is maybe like $1. There's a yellow, like, version of that, which, like, I showed the kid the eBay comp. It sold for $30. So at the end of the day, we gave him, he won all 3 games. He got the Knockout Ninja.
Nice.
And like, he didn't know it was a $30 card, but when I called him up and he got it, I was like, hey, buddy, here, I want you to read this. Like, this is how much the card's worth. Like, tell the group, tell parents how much it's worth. And his eyes, like, he's like, $29? I'm like, we just gave him $30. Again, I don't care about money. I care about the kids, man. And the youngest brother, the next day, because they had the itty bitty, the little baller, 4, 5, 6-year-old sessions on Friday, he came in and he won the games. And he was like, literally, like, sitting up like this, where I was like, and today, we had a big time performance in Knockout, and he like saw the card and he was like literally like on the edge of his seat, like pouncing to get the card. It was completely amazing.
That's how you know it's working, man. That's how you know it's working. That they're not only is it changing their behavior, but they're getting more excited about it. You can see it. They're more anxious for it, and it gets them more hyped up to try and do more good things, And once you instill that into them when they're younger, they're gonna get that same adrenaline rush and feeling that they get when they do that. No different when they're older and they start doing those kind gestures and things for other people. So that's an amazing way to go about it, man. Like, what's the big picture with VeeFriends Coaching? Like, where is it that you want to take it, or what's the next step for the next year or 2? Like, what is it that you want to do next?
I mean, I would say, getting just more folks involved, and it can be a coach of just one team to, maybe like a high school coach of a program and the varsity JV freshman. Like, it literally doesn't matter to me. I just know it works. It's no different than, like, I've told Gary, I've told other members on the team that, so May 7th is when we got into this. May 9th, we started our Whatnot channel. We had been on Whatnot a little bit, but like, honestly, just to buy VeeFriends, because that's the only thing we really ever, like, shirts and little things we were kind of interested in. So we created our own, I guess, like sales platform. That's the handle, like Friends of VeeFriends with K and T. My wife's name is Kat and I'm Tristan, so it kind of rhymes and kind of flows a little bit. So we created that, where we stream usually once or twice, a week. Honestly, like with the stuff we're selling, we tell everybody, hey, we're super authentic. Like we're going to sell, we're going to make money. And all of this is going to go back into the machine to try to get as many cards as possible so that we can help support an onboarding of, 1, 2, 10, 25, 30 different coaches, where that's the goal, whether it's one is greater than zero. Right now we have some folks that are open to the idea, showing interest, that I think in the next week or two, they'll kind of come on board. But this is something again where, and one of the questions I got from one of the coaches is like how big is it really going to get? Like, is it going to stop? And I'm like, well, cards are going to come out again next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. So like the only way that it would stop is if kind of like we stop. Either we lose interest in it, or we find ways to, maybe not be as engaging around it, or not be as creative in terms of the way we reward and those type of things. But I mean, it's not like the kids are going to stop liking getting something and being told that they're doing a good job. That's never going to happen. It's more on us as coaches and leaders to just be able to kind of follow through with what we said we're going to do.
I agree with you. I think it's if you have that inspiration and you have that vision of something that is valuable and that can provide value to other people or change their life for the better in any way, I believe it's that person's responsibility to go out there and make it happen. You got that vision, you got that idea for a reason, even if it's just for a small moment, but you see the potential in it. I feel that it's something that you should definitely go and pursue and chase. And I see that it's doing great things from everything that you're saying. As a parent myself, I would be very happy to have my kids go and get coached by you and be part of the team and associate themselves with all the other children as well that are like that, because it's hard to find kids that are positive like that. It's hard to find kids that are open to things like that and are open to change and everything. Everyone is so glued to social media and the electronics, and everything online right now is just so negative, or it's just everything is, let's judge this person, let's make fun of that person, let's look at, and that's what's made to seem as the norm and okay, especially with kids nowadays. Bullying is a big thing, being judged and having the lack of empathy for other people and what they might be going through that they don't know. Like they're still kids. There's a lot of things that they have to learn. But the fact that there's people like you out there that are forming these groups and forming these relationships with kids in a positive way and using such other things and brands and companies and communities like VeeFriends to help spread that message and amplify it even louder, like that's just something that I strongly appreciate, because as a kid myself, I would have really appreciated having something like that. It's not something it's even as an adult, and I still find it hard to wrap my head around that such a community like VeeFriends exists. When you explain it to someone, it sounds fake. They're like, there's no way that there's that many nice people and kind-hearted people that do these careless acts of love and affection of like, yes, I care about you and let's support you and let's back you up and let's help you. And then when you actually get there, it's not like it's a place, but when you actually get to experience it yourself firsthand, it changes the way you look at things. You realize that, one, you're not alone. Two, that there are good, kind-hearted people out there, and it just gives you a sense of hope in some type of way. And I feel like that's what you're doing as well. You're creating your own community amongst coaches and amongst your other players, students, and everything. Just no different than Gary did with VeeFriends. And you're doing your own way of how to do it, and you're using the VeeFriends IP, and you're taking the message that they have, and you're pushing out there in a positive way. And you're doing everything moving forward in a good way, man. So it's like you're leading by example. So I don't see why many other people wouldn't jump on board and wouldn't get on it. I do see this turning into something massive, especially over here where I'm in New York. The school year is picking up again, and it's things like that I would like to introduce people out here, and I would like to tell them, because like I said, I would love my kids to be a part of something like that. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to everyone who's tuned in. We got a couple people right now. We have 38 people tuning in. We have mostly on X, it's 37 people on X. Then we also have A few people jumping in and out here on Kick. JVP22, shout out to you. Short Stack Rainbow from Kick, shout out to you. All these random names. We just started streaming on Kick not too long ago. So for anyone who is watching, listening, we appreciate all the love and support. If you want to show some love to Tristan and you want to learn more about VeeFriend Coaching and what he's doing with his wife and how to support them, all the information to any of the social media profiles that they have will be listed wherever you are listening or watching this episode of Clocking Out. Be sure to go and show some love, give them a follow, show some love to the most recent content, and learn more about how you can get involved, especially if you're a coach. Maybe you can hit them up and see how you can get something like this started in your area, because I strongly believe in it, and I think it's something that our kids need. There's no such thing as too much positivity. So we've been streaming right now for 45 minutes. Tristan, before we get out of here, I have a few more questions to ask you. So what do you feel or think when you hear clocking out? What does it mean to you?
I would probably say like the end, like the end of your day, or like the ability to like mentally check out, which I can always do better at, for sure. I'm not really wired like that, which again, I don't even, like, I know, entrepreneurs, like a hot buzzword, Gary used it all the time. Like, I don't even really use that. Like we coach by day, by night. And if we're not doing that, like we're trying to find ways again to either, now we're on Whatnot streaming and I'm in other streams trying to figure out how we can do that better. It's just all about ways where we can do better. And for me, I can't remember the last time I actually clocked out. So I may not be the best person to ask on that.
That's still a great answer. And with that, what do you feel, or when do you feel that you are most in your purpose?
When I'm coaching. So we found futsal, again, much like Gary. Like, I found him, he found me, I found it, it found me. Right around the same time, 8.5, 9 years ago. Our three kids, they were playing youth sports, mainly youth soccer. Three played at three different clubs. Wife was a coach and director at another club, so she could get them to and from practice a little bit, but not a lot, because she had her own teams and own journey and different travel plans and such. So the amount of time and the amount of money that we were being asked to spend and commit as a family was a little excessive, I would say. But again, like for our kids, it's like if they're enjoying it and we see value in it, like it is what it is. I'm head first. I'm all in. Like, I'm in the deep end. It's good. And I remember I was at a stoplight one day, because my day was get the kids from school. I would drop this one off. The others would get out. They would do a little training. They would get in. I would go drop this one, wait, this one. It was crazy. Like every single day, that was my day. And then we had our futsal stuff kind of on the weekend a little bit. And then I asked them, I'm like, hey, like I know you guys are talking about, this being a lot, but at least you're having fun, right? And they were, and all three of them, like in unison, like I don't think they had rehearsed it. Maybe they did. I don't know. They were like, no, not really. And it was like, just like one of those moments where it was like, ding, like a hit, like right in the middle of my forehead. And it was like, well, how can we do something to like make this experience more fun, while maybe doing other sports? I don't know if we have time for that. And I knew what futsal was. It's much faster than soccer. And if futsal probably would have gotten more organized and probably come to the US before soccer, it would probably be potentially the number one growing sport, because it's 6 times faster, because kids get the ball more, because they get to score more goals, because they get more interactions. And it's just more engaging for them. So we started that, and I feel when I'm not doing that, I feel like a fish out of water. When I am doing that, I feel like I'm in my place. I'm in my purpose. Where that's my happy place. So much so, we've taken the last 2 springs, we've taken 43 American kids from here, from our programs, to Portugal, which is arguably, some say Brazil, some say Portugal, probably one of the, I would say the top, I'm biased, but definitely one of the top 2 countries in the world as it pertains to like true futsal culture, to Lisbon. Our daughter actually plays at Sporting Lisbon, at the number 1 futsal club in the world right now. She's studying at the University of Lisbon in management and finance, and she's playing with the women's team professionally there. So we've taken 43 kids, and I want to say, I think 21 got offered a chance to stay in Portugal. And the parents looked at me like, what are we supposed to do? I was like, we had a Zoom before. I told you my job and my goal was like, not to be a jerk, but I wanted you and your player to have a difficult conversation before getting on the plane to come home. Like, if they're good enough, like, they deserve to have opportunity, you know? And like, when we've gone on, we went last spring and 2 years ago, and then this past year, and we'll continue to do that. We might even add one over Thanksgiving, where that's kind of a universal break for a lot of parts of the country for players. Like, this isn't like a sports tourism where like, hey, we're going to go to the museum. It's like, hey, I'm going to handle the futsal. Every kid is going to get at least 2 sessions. I understand that, like, and when we do this, like, they're not paying the club, they're just covering their own travel. Like, this is authentic. This is, if you were in Portugal, this is it. You're a member of this club for the week. The good news is you may only get to train twice for all that money in travel. The bad news is you may only get to train twice. The other good news is if your son or daughter is good enough, they'll probably be asked to train with the older team, and they may get 3 or 4 sessions. You know, so it's going to be a very authentic experience. You're going to kind of earn and get what you deserve, per se. You know, so that's just a lot about what we've been able to do. That's where I feel happiest. I've been offered some opportunity to kind of stay in Portugal, which isn't in the cards right now for our family. My wife's dream was to become a college soccer coach, so that's kind of what I and she are chasing right now. Where she's here in the Austin area at an amazing school. She's close to family. She's got family in Dallas and Houston, so we're kind of equidistant, halfway in between for her. So this is a really good situation. So right now, you know, we're in a good spot. When I'm coaching, I'm definitely in a good spot. And being that we're able to use and kind of find what Gary and the company has been able to do and implement with their collectibles, and find ways where we can incorporate that, you know, that's kind of a win-win for everybody, for sure.
And I love that. Before we get out of here, the last thing I want to ask you, because you've clearly had a lot of positive results by implementing VeeFriends into what you're doing with coaching and the kids and everything, what would you say to anyone who is sleeping on VeeFriends, who's not getting involved, who isn't giving it a chance, who's not even clicking on that video? What would you say to that person or those people?
So we stream on Whatnot, usually once or twice a week. And I don't tell this story every time, but we always kind of tell our story. Like, you know, if those that are familiar with Whatnot usually start the show with a givey. It keeps people in the room. Once the givey runs out in 5 minutes, that's when you kind of start whether you're going to sell this or that, whatever. So on the 2-minute warning, I kind of say, hey, awesome. Thank you so much for being here, ladies and gents. It's Friends of V with K and T. I'm T. She's the face. She's Miss K, blah, 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 blah. And then we kind of tell our story about, you know, this is who we are. We found Gary. We're not collectors, whatever. One story that I've told some is, again, at our program in Birmingham, now that I haven't been there full time for the last year, but still I'm there enough to know all the kids. There may be a handful of kids that I don't know by name and by face, but I know 99.9% of them. So I'm there for, it was week 1, day 1, week 1 of summer camp. Young man walks in the gym, kind of quirky, a little different, you know, which is fine. Like, he comes in, you can tell he's unsure, like, doesn't know where to go, probably doesn't even know, like, why he's there, like, does he want to be here, like, what's going on, kind of get him going. And mom and dad, like, at the end, hear my spiel about, hey, like, this is the behavioral impact I've seen in the first week, because our program had been going for a week before summer. So with our consistent players, we had already been kind of doing this, because I wanted to see, like, if it works, great, we'll keep doing it. If it doesn't, then we won't go all in. And once I saw the way it worked, I'm like, well, we're going to, from 3:30 to 8 o'clock, like, we're going to be like dealers in Vegas. Like, we're giving out as many cards as the kids deserve. So I say, you know, like, the amount of impact that it's had is completely amazing. You know, players have really changed before our eyes. And I give the examples no different than what I just gave you. Mom emails me later that day, that night, and says, you know, like, what you said is 100% true, but I don't think you understand, like, the impact that it's made, probably for everyone, but, like, for our son, is we haven't signed him up for youth sports in the last several years. Didn't felt like he belonged, you know, felt stressed, felt anxious, felt like nobody saw him, didn't feel like he mattered, was in a dark place, so much so that, like, 2 weeks ago, he tried to kill himself. and had a failed suicide attempt. And when he walked out of the gym that day, he said, because he knew that like you were recognizing people for what they were and who they actually were, that's the first time that he can remember where like he didn't have those thoughts in his head. And like I'm getting emotional now, and it's 3 months ago. But like when she emailed me that, bro, like it was like tears and like goosebumps, like literally. Where like people will say, well, like how good can it be? I'm like, I mean, I don't know if it's an overstatement, man, but like literally that shit saved somebody's life, man.
100%.
You know, like it literally saved a kid's life. And he didn't even get a reward that day, you know, but he just knew that like our way was different. Our way was like, hey, like we see each and every one of you for who you are, some good, some bad, you know, but it is what it is. But just know, like, we support you, we believe in you, and we want what's best for you. The next day, that young man did get a confident Cobra because I think that he earned that for sure.
Yes.
You know, we didn't say like why he got that. I'm sure he kind of knew that. You know, where I did say, you know, hey, we just appreciate you being here, and just know like this is a big card for you, because we know like for you to come in and for you to kind of get adjusted to the environment, like you had to show confidence, but more importantly, like this is a reminder where you need to be confident in who you are every day because you're good enough.
100%. And I love that, man. Hearing that, it's thinking about it. It's thinking about those situations even possibly happening. And as a parent, those are one of my worst fears. I hear those stories a lot, and that's one of the things you worry about as a parent when you send your kid off to school or training or practice or whatever it is. They're off. They're someone else's responsibility. They're with a group of other kids, and like I mentioned, right now with the way that society is and the way that the internet is and social media and everything, it's made to seem really easy to pick on, make fun of, or judge and bully without them really truly understanding the depths of the consequences or the effects behind it, because they're children. They really don't know. They know to an extent what they're doing, but they don't know the extent of the consequences or the effects of it.
Well, because there's no repercussions where like even
Exactly.
like I can remember like when our oldest son was in school, he got bullied and he didn't hit a kid back because if you punch a kid, you got suspended.
Yep.
Like so and I didn't get into it with the principal. We had a discussion. I'm like, so you mean to tell me that like our son, who he was the latest physical bloomer in the history of late bloomers, he was this tall as a freshman and his 6th grade sister like Amazon like dwarfed him, and like he's walking around the largest school in the state of Alabama as a freshman, some big old junior senior football player like was going to beat his ass. Like you can't protect yourself.
Exactly.
So he might just get slammed against the wall and he might die because of this. I was like, no, like just know like you need to protect yourself.
Yes.
And if there's an issue, like, hey, like then we're suspended for 3 days. And I told the administration, I'm like, hey, if you hear this is what I said. And it's, I grew up in a different time. I grew up in inner city New Orleans. I was the only person that looked like this. There were days where I'd get in 5 fights a day, bro, just walking home because I didn't look like everybody else.
Exactly.
You know, where back then, like you couldn't just say stuff just to say stuff. Like if you said something and somebody heard about it, like there was going to be a conversation and probably a confrontation about it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. A lot, it's like you're saying, there's no consequences or repercussions for that nowadays. A lot of people do it and they get away, or they're just told, don't do that again. And they don't understand it. It's not like it was before. We were raised a lot different, and it was a lot stricter. Now it's a lot more soft-handed, to the point where they look at it like, oh, they're just being kids. But you can't even say that no more when you have children literally committing suicide or doing a lot of other crazy things that they don't need to be doing or saying or getting involved with. And I honestly feel it's the lack of the real discipline. They're not scared to do something until they do it, and then they realize what the consequences are, and then they regret it. And it's things like that we need to have those tough conversations. We need to give those tough disciplines. We need to give those firsthand experiences of, listen, you need to learn now that you're young that this isn't how things work, and there's a right and wrong way to go about it. If not, there's going to be consequences. That yes, when you're young now and it's a rough speaking, or it's a timeout, or it's you're grounded, or whatever it is. But when you're older, it's not that easy. It's a lot different. It's not as easy as you said something to someone and you can walk away and that's it. It's like you said, it's to the point where you say something and you're going to have a conversation, or there's going to be a confrontation. And right now that they're children, yes, they have the protection of of teachers and parents and everything like that. But when they're out there in the real world by themselves and they think that what happened and what could fly when they were younger can happen when they're older, they're going to learn the hard way. And it's things like that that a lot of kids need to learn when they're younger. And there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And I truly believe that what you're doing, what your wife's doing, what all you guys are putting out there, all the effort and energy that you guys are putting into it, it's the right way. I see that you guys are getting great results. I see that you guys have a lot of parents and families backing you guys. And I just don't see anything wrong in instilling the positive attributes and just good morals behind everything that you guys are doing. Like there's so much negativity in the world that I think we need more of what you're doing. So whatever it is that we can do to get that message out there, whether it's using the cards or just having those conversations more often or whatever it is that we got to do, I think that we need to do it. So I think there needs to be more people such as yourself. There needs to be more things like VeeFriends Coaching, and we need to get the message out there because there's too much of the negative out there, and I think it's already enough of that. If we can find ways to implement this into things that we're doing with school activities or just any excuse just to just mix it into an everyday activity and make it like more seen and more in people's face, I think that's the way to go with everything, man.
Yep, I agree. And I titled it VeeFriends Coaches just because, again, like that's what we do. But I mean, I know there's a movement for like VeeFriends teachers, and like it's more about if you're dealing with especially youth, because I just know the impact of you put a card in the hand of a kid, you can tell them good job, but that goes in one ear and out the other. It's fleeting. Yes. Versus you give them something tangible.
Yes.
This isn't an overstatement, but like the vast majority of the youngsters that we've put a card in the hand of, it's like Christmas morning. That's one of the things that the coaches ask. Like, are they going to get sick of it? I was like, if I keep giving you a present, you going to tell me to stop?
Exactly.
And they're like, well, no. I was like, well, then how is this any different, man? Like, we're dealing with young minds and people that want to be, like they want to feel appreciated. They want to receive rewards. And this is a way where they can keep getting a tangible reward in their hand, maybe every single day, if that's what it takes.
100%, man. And I love it. Tristan, I want to thank you for coming on here and for taking the time to talk to me and to share more about yourself and what you're doing with VeeFriends Coaching. I truly appreciate the effort and the energy and the time that you and your wife put into what you're doing, the content that you create, the energy that you're putting out there. Before we get out of here, is there anything you want to say to our viewers, listeners, and supporters about what you're working on, the next project you have coming out? You want to give us a sneak peek, anything that we should be looking out for?
No, I mean, I think what you and I just touched on is, I'm just excited for kind of like, again, like I've been to the mountaintop of what we've been doing for the last few months. By the end of this month, we would have already rewarded over 1,500 moments of, proper behavior, execution, or creativity, or things that we're trying to instill in today's youth. So I would just issue, if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, and it's not like a professional coach, you can be a daddy, mommy coach of a group. Like, I would challenge you to like find our content, reach out, and like get involved, and don't be afraid. Don't think that, oh, it doesn't work. Where like, again, like you kind of have to take my word for it here. You don't know me very well, but like it works. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have spent tens of thousands of dollars on cards if it didn't work, and we didn't believe in it. And this is it's not a money maker for us. This is a passion project where we're coaches by day, by trade. Like that's how we afford the house that I'm sitting outside right now. Everything that we earn from this program goes back into the program. We have a last story. We have a player who's 11. Last night on one of our streams, we let the folks know she created some art cards where I was walking by the bench one day, she had her sketchbook out, and I was like, what the hell? Like, it was like amazing. And it's like, did you draw that? She's like, yes, sir. I like to draw. I'm like, you like to draw? She's like, oh, I love it. Like, if I'm not practicing or whatever, like, that's all I want to do. I was like, oh. And we gave her like a handful of cards, and she it was like unbelievable. So we've given her like another 40, and her mom are kind of working on that, where, just finding ways to, not only is she a good athlete, but she's creative here. So like, what you and I talked about is having that self-awareness, like lean into things that you're good at, because when you're good at something, you're going to be happier. And when you're happy, you're going to be better. So trying to get people in that cycle, the sooner the better, would kind of be just my challenge for everyone.
100%. I agree with you, man. Find what you love and let it kill you. That's I feel that way. Again, Tristan, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone who stopped by and showed some love or shared the link, I truly appreciate it. Make sure that you check this out. We're if you missed the live stream, don't worry about it. It's okay. You'll be able to listen to this again on YouTube. The episode will be up by tomorrow, as well as on all audio streaming platforms on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And if you have any questions or concerns and you would like to go and show some love to Tristan and what he's doing with VeeFriends Coaching, all the information will be in the description of wherever you're listening or watching to this episode of Clocking Out. I want to thank you guys once again. Tristan, thank you. It was a pleasure. I truly appreciate you taking the time. I hope all is well. Have a great weekend. Everybody, I love y'all. Stay safe. Have a great night. Peace.
Thank you.